Vinny Bob. Oh, are we live?
Yes, sir.
And we are live for episode 163 of Behind the Tool Belt. I am Ty, your host. Thank you for tuning in.
TC Backer. Roofing, siding, windows, gutters, solar. Roofing, siding, windows, gutters, solar. TC Backer.
Behind the Tool Belt is sponsored by Lead Scout. Find out more at leadscoutapp.com.
TC Backer.
And we are back for episode 163. I feel like tonight is going to be a great conversation. We got some of my favorite people in the industry and some of my great friends. I got some Revolt brothers, not just on the screen, but behind the scene as well, which is pretty cool because I get to meet, I can't remember his name. Who was it? Jason for the first time.
His last name's all jacked up, man.
Right on. And we got Mick Mullins' brother back there. We got the whole McMillan family here. And super excited. We got Joe Salowitz with Lead Scout. We got Bob Hoel. What's the name of your company, Bob?
Whole Roofing and Remodeling.
Imagine that. Whole. Like the whole house or just the whole roof?
The whole house.
Like we're going to leave holes in your roof, I think is what.
Man, that would be bad. That would just be bad business.
I had somebody ask me, what are you going to do when people like catch on to what the actual name is? Because everybody says Hoel and stuff like that. And I said, at that time, I'm a household name, like it won't matter. And they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I get that.
There you go. It makes sense to me. Perfect sense. And then we got Dylan McMullins with American Metal Roofing. Was that close?
Almost American Metal Roofing.
Sounded better though.
It does.
I'm just kidding. I would never. What I tried to look up your Facebook.
We're currently in a transition process.
Okay, so is that why you don't have anything?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I actually don't even have the gear. I have an American Metal Roofing hat on, but we're currently in the process of rebranding to All American Roof Pros.
Oh.
So that's been a really fun winter project for us to really capture more of the audience because, we're pigeonholing ourselves if we're American Metal Roofing. People don't know that we do shingles. We installed a fair amount last year. Nothing crazy. Sorry, Vic. But yeah, so we installed a fair amount of shingles last year, but we want to capture more of that audience. It's also it's just a marketing play. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
I'm proud of our brand. I'm really sad to see it go. I didn't want to see it go, but we got to make the best moves for us and our guys. So we're excited.
Yeah.
It's now no longer AMR, it's now AARP, which someone pointed out after the fact. I'm like, crap.
Oh, wow.
So
hey, I mean, hell, it's a catchy name and it's been around for a long time. AARP.
This will open you up to the international market too. You can expand beyond the borders.
That's right, baby.
Talk to us about the importance of branding in the roofing space, and especially you just said it's a marketing play. Like how so? How is that a marketing play?
Yeah, so it's Joe, right?
Yeah.
I just don't want to jack it up, man. I'll start calling you the wrong name. We just go.
That's all good.
Podcast. He's like, that asshole doesn't know my name.
It's actually Hoel.
Hoel.
Yeah.
So between Joe and Hoel. So the biggest thing, in my opinion, as far as marketing in the roofing space, and Ty, who's been around a hell of a lot longer and done a way better job than us, can probably attest to it. Dude, you're old. So yeah, no,
that's true.
I just busting your balls.
No.
I love you.
Thank
So
you.
no, so the biggest thing with marketing and roofing is when somebody, would click on us and see that we're American Metal Roofing, they're thinking, well, those guys only do metal roofing. Well, at the end of the day, we're trying to service all the roofing market. So for us in the beginning, it worked out really well because that's the market we wanted. But no one installs more metal in the state of Ohio than us. Literally, this last year from our supplier, no one bought. The only company that bought more metal than us, there was 2 companies that bought more metal than us, and they're both lumber yards. So, and they're selling packages. So, and that's just us as a residential roofing company.
Wow.
Not saying I'm the biggest in the country, but I do a pretty damn good job in Northern Ohio.
No kidding.
Yeah, but we think we're almost at the limit of capping that market because most of the guys who are in roofing can attest to this. It is a trade to be a roofer with shingles. However, in my opinion, metal is a more specific trade, and it's harder to find guys that can do metal, that have the capacity to do metal from a labor standpoint. It's a lot easier to find guys who do shingles, and that's where we stand with it, and really why we're making the move. It wasn't an easy decision by any means, but it's one we had to make because if we want to continue to grow, besides expanding our market, which is unrealistic for us at this current moment, why don't we just capture the other 80% of the market that's not clicking on us because we're American Metal Roofing?
Mm-hmm.
So you'd already capped out on that market, but how are you going to maintain? Are you positioning yourself to maintain the equity share you've gained in that market, but also expanding? Like how do you do both at the same time and make sure you don't lose that?
Yeah, so it's obviously going to take a lot of marketing efforts. Our brand is extremely similar to what we already have, so people are identifying it. Will see the logo and think, okay, that's the same effort. And then realistically speaking, when you're marketing for metal, in my opinion, when TC Backer is marketing for windows or siding or whatever, they're not looking at it from that aspect. They're looking at it from what you're marketing to them to maintain that market share. And obviously you're going to get word of mouth market share naturally anyways, just by doing a good job and really in this market, just doing what you say you're going to do. So that's half the battle.
Yeah. No, we rebranded actually 3 times over the years, right? Now, the first 2 times that we rebranded, we made the original one probably more bolder, right? But then this last rebranding we did, oh man, John could probably tell me, I would say 2 years ago, maybe at this point in time, 2 years ago. So when we rebranded, I was a little concerned because, of course, the name stayed the same, but with the logo, because our name is kind of like the logo, and it was kind of hard to explain to everybody, like, I want the name in the logo, but like the name is the logo. And so we went through several different. I mean, it was mind blowing and mind bending and lost sleep over it because, like, are we doing the right thing? Aren't we doing the right thing? Because we've been around for so long and like people aren't going to know who we are anymore. We're going to lose market share, blah, 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 blah. All of these things went through our minds. But when we finally settled on, and we were going to add roofing to the end of it, kind of like your fear is like, we want to remove not necessarily metal from it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But we were afraid if we added roofing to it, then it was just putting us in one category. We do so much more than just roofing, right? Like you said earlier, we do windows, we do gutters, we do solar, we do siding, we do all of these things. So then we went back and we started to actually roll it out, the TC Backer roofing. And there were some things made that had that on it. But then one night I woke up and I was like, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're just, because that's just the one thing that you do. And then what you're going to put underneath it, siding, gutters, solar, all this other. Yeah. So it was like, no. Let's just go back to like kind of the old brand where it was just, actually it was TC Backer Construction. So we removed roofing, went all in on it. And when I finally made that decision to do that, the confidence that I had from that, because it looked so good and I was so satisfied with the way it looked, and John did a phenomenal job and was very patient with me. Right. And so was everybody else. And I'm talking about like the people that wrap our vehicles, the billboard people. I mean, everybody was so patient. It was so great. But I felt like because it was fresh, new, crisp, I felt like it opened up so much more of the market share for us. And I don't know if that was just the confidence and the morale and the camaraderie. Like it actually almost seemed like it helped our culture too, because it was something fresh, something new. It wasn't the old stale shit.
Everybody took ownership of it at the same time. Like it wasn't just at inception with you, it was with the rest of the team.
Yes. Yes, because I bounced a lot of stuff off of everybody. What do you think about this? What if we added that? What if we take that off? Like everybody had a say in it for sure.
And we had some people bucket, right? Like our guys sell a lot of metal.
Mhm.
It's really easy for us to sell it because we're really good at differentiating in our
Mhm.
market. But you know, when they came to me and they're bucking the system because we're doing it,
Yep.
I had to say, guys, you trusted me when we started it. You
Mhm.
trusted me to come work here.
Mhm.
Now I just need you to trust me that I'm making the right decision for us collectively,
Yeah.
right? And you probably saw some of that, no?
No, not really.
But you also didn't do a name change too.
No, not altogether. No,
Yeah.
not at all. Actually,
Yeah, it's a hard decision, man. I mean, hell,
it is.
you know, we're rewrapping 12. Well, rewrapping, we're doing about 6 vehicles. I mean, you know, all of our, you know, I had to go buy new T-shirts, it's a lot, man.
It is.
It was not an easy decision by any means, but
it's not.
we think it's the right one.
Yeah, it is. It is.
How are you going about like announcing that, rolling that out? I think of, I just saw Certainty rebranded. They rebranded the new logo, right? Haven't heard anything about it. In fact, I went searching for the new logo, can't even find it. So that's like a stealth relaunch. Eventually, maybe they'll roll it out. But what are you doing to announce that? Because that's a big deal. A name change, you're going to have to let people know. What tactics are you using for that?
So we do have a full-time marketing girl now. She's going to be helping us out with that rollout at our retreat. We're going to do a firm launch. We're currently working on doing a lot more interactive stuff on our Facebook page. And fortunately, you know, that's how most of us have met. I think it's one of the best ways to communicate that message and convey it. So that's one of the things we're going to do. We're also going to consistently co-brand as well. You know, we're not completely dropping the American Metal Roofing brand. I think it's still something that's valuable. So like our Google page currently is All American Roof Pros, and then there's a slash that says American Metal Roofing. So that way people can still find us if that's who they're looking for, right? And we talked. We're currently working with a couple different marketing companies, and they talked to us and said, "Hey, you know, let's put this on the website together for about 18 months, and then after that, then we can kind of start phasing it out, or maybe it becomes its own, you know, little entity." Like I told my guys, man, don't throw all your American Metal Roofing stuff away. It doesn't go away. We're just putting it under a bigger umbrella, and we're going to focus more on dumping the money into that side of it. And maybe the more word of the mouth comes from the American Metal Roofing brand. So it's a tricky situation. That's actually a really good question, Joe. And I didn't really think about it until you asked it to put it into words, but we have a game plan in place. We're doing a retreat at the end of March. And at that retreat, we're going to do a live, and she wants to do a hard launch then. So that way we can, similar to this, branch it out to our community, and then we'll leave it up live. So that way people can see it. And just, we're also going to do a lot of blasting video content, like on email campaigns. I'm going to, you know, record some videos and just say, hey, just to better serve you, this is why we're doing it, blah, 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 and all that good stuff.
A lot of companies do it, man. Same taste, different logo or whatever.
The service is still the same. Our mission's still the same.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Bob, I heard is there a rumor that you're rebranding as well?
No rumor.
No rumor there? Okay.
I might have started that rumor.
Whole house roofing. Thought maybe we'd plant the seed there. No, I'm just kidding. No, I love it. I love your logo. I love everything that you and Emily are doing over there.
One thing that Bob and I talked about when him and I first became buddies, you know, his business is actually called Hoel Roofing and Remodeling, but on his wraps, he focuses on the roofing portion of it. Maybe Bob can talk about how that's affected them.
There you go.
Because there's probably some guys out there that maybe need some help with their branding. And if you're trying to encompass it all, man, I don't think it's the right move when you're starting out for sure. When you get to Ty's level, man, you can do whatever the hell you want.
Stop it already.
Well, and I mean, what we actually did rebrand a couple of years ago. We ran under Integrity Exteriors the first year, and after I realized how many other people call themselves Integrity Roofing and stuff like that, I'm like, I don't know if that was the best thing. However, that first year, you don't know how many people are like, I've heard of you guys, and I'm thinking, there's no way in hell I'm 4 months old. You know, I didn't say that out loud. But the reason it says Hoel Roofing and Remodeling is because of a failure that I bought a guy out, and he was supposed to run the remodeling division for me. And needless to say, that didn't work out very well. A couple months later, he was gone. So we try to stick to the exterior. But I was intentional about putting the word roofing in there just because, you know, that is one thing. If you're talking to anybody branding or marketing, they say, you know, that's a key word that you should have in there. So I was intentional about that. but I didn't want it to say whole roofing, siding, gutters, windows. I didn't want that either. So that's kind of, but like Dylan says, my new wraps, Dylan's a big timer. He does wraps. I just do very clear and big logos. I focus whole roofing is really big. Then you see my logo and you see and remodeling. So,
Ty, maybe for some of these guys, I know a lot of guys different around the industry listen to it. Maybe they're just starting to get their wraps done. A lot of us have seen yours and your branding super crisp and clean. And, fortunately you drive it to all the conferences. So we get to check out your badass transits. When you were doing those, man, like, did you ever have one that was like, the guy that had the tailgate that lists 900 freaking different things, and you're trying to read did you guys ever have one of those? Was there a mistake with TC going that way?
No. So it started out obviously with just a magnet on the side of my truck. And then I got a van, and against our person who makes the magnets better judgment, I had them make us a magnet for the side of the van that was like ridiculously too big. And they didn't blow off like they thought they were going to because they were so big and heavy on the side of the van. So that was the route that I went, because that's what I could afford. But there was never no, bathrooms, additions, blah, blah, blah. We never did that, because that's not what I did. I grew up in the roofing industry. I did siding, windows, gutters. Our trailer, we had an open trailer that we hauled the gutter machine around, and I had to tarp it off every night. Just bare bones, went out and hustled and chucked and jived it. And for years we didn't have anything on our trucks. And I was like Bob too. Like, I would just when we got our first, lack of better words, wrap or imprint on the side of the door of the truck, it just said TC Backer Construction, roofing, siding, at that time, windows and gutter, no solar. And then that's when we rebranded several years later. We made the logo bigger, and then we put like a big red stripe. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know if we've ever gotten as many calls off the vehicles until we went to that second rebrand, right? Because it just stood out. You could be on 83 South doing 80 mile an hour, and you could see what it said. The phone number was clear and exactly what we did, right? So they knew what we did. They knew how to contact us. And that was the one thing that was pointed out to me a long time ago, was like, don't add all that junk to it.
Keep it simple. Keep
right.
it the KISS method.
Yeah. Like, cause you can't master any of them. I mean, I don't care. You might have a bunch of guys, but like, I just felt like getting it too crazy with just, don't get me wrong. We've clubbed out basements and redid attics and stuff like that when times were hard back in like 08, 9, 10, and 11. We did whatever we had to do. I even personally painted a vinyl siding house because that's what the gentleman wanted. And I'm a vinyl guy. Like, you don't paint.
Big old no-no, man.
Yeah. Like, you don't
That's
paint
where I
vinyl.
grew up at. That's where I cut my teeth, man.
Yeah. So we did whatever we had to do, and we'll still do whatever it is that we have to do. But our forte is exterior. We are an exterior contractor, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. And I think that's one thing that'll, and I'm not picking on you, Jason, but I think that's Jason and I had a conversation on the way up here. It was down at his house, about 2-hour trip. And I'm like, man, the biggest thing that I failed in, because I think on the first podcast, we talked about, me failing in my first business a little bit. And for those of you who don't know, I had a contracting company in 14 to 16, had no idea what the hell I was doing, and basically bankrupt myself and climb my way out of it. Never filed for bankruptcy. It's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But that being said, I learned in that you cannot be, you cannot try to encompass all the trades that somebody's asking for just because you're there. And we've heard tons of guys say it, but until you've lived the damn thing, I don't think you really know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Until and you're there and you got the roof done and you're making good money. And then all of a sudden they go, can you do my basement? You're like, hell yeah, I can do your basement. It's like, can you really though? Like, do you have the capacity? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And hyper focus, that was the issue with the rebrand. If we circle back to that, we focused too much. And there were people just turning an eye to us. How many people were clicking on us and they weren't 100% interested in a metal roof, but we were showing up because we were Google guaranteed or we were doing really good with SEO. And they're like, hell no, I don't want a metal roof. I'm stuck on shingles because that's what my wife wants. And we all know as roofers, there's alternatives that work. So biggest thing, man, is if we can just get in the damn home. Yeah. I'll sell them on something, man.
Exactly.
I'm a salesman, baby.
Right. Yeah. No, it's funny you say that because years back, when we created our first website, Yellow Book started websites and stuff, and then I think Haibu or whatever took that over. But back then you had to pay for like each word, right? Like in roofing, it was like $12 each time somebody searched roofing. Well, gutters was like $3. So that was the only thing I could afford. So our first website domain, which it still stands today, is www.321gutterdone, right? .com. And everyone's like, why that when the name of your company was TC Backer? Well, with having that in our domain name, when somebody searches gutters, it automatically organically pops up. Well, I thought the same thing you did. Just let me just get the phone to ring as cheap as we can possibly do it, as many times as we could possibly do it. And if I can just get in their home, the chances are if somebody needs gutters, they need soffit, they need fascia, they need gutter guards, they might even need windows or possibly a new roof. And that's kind of the approach that we took too, because you get out there and you want to provide a great service. And if you see something else with their house that's wrong and they don't know, because most people don't get up on their roofs, and
You don't look up till there's a problem.
Exactly. And if we can let them know, hey, look, while we're here, let me inspect your roof, let me get in your attic space, let me check to make sure you got proper insulation, proper intake, proper exhaust, and all those good things like that. And that's kind of where we started.
Yeah and I think cutting your teeth in that area is crucial. And yeah, man, it'd be great if we could service every service that a homeowner wants with confidence. But, until we focus, that was the biggest thing for me.
Right.
To go from there.
One of the most powerful tools in a business owner's tool belt is the ability to say no. And I've found that to be true in my business. Is just every time that you can narrow in your focus so much that and are empowered to say no when you need to say no, it just becomes so much more powerful, and your profit margins go up. Your business becomes more successful. You do work better in a more quality way. Your whole team can kind of coalesce around a common vision. There's a lot of stuff that falls into place when you empower yourself to say no on the job.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what I was thinking when he was talking about, if they ask you if you can finish their basement, the hardest thing for me, especially early on, was to say no. I didn't want to turn anything down because I didn't know if the phone was going to ring again. So it was tough for me too. That's, going back to like, I painted vinyl siding when that was like the hugest, biggest no, especially with expansion and contraction. I knew exactly what was going to happen. Either it was going to restrict the thermal movement, or if it didn't, there would be a racing stripe everywhere it expanded and contracted. And I've seen that.
Well, and now, I mean, that's the other thing too, is being properly educated. Back when, I was siding with my old man, because I always tell a story. I was a fat kid, so I got stuck doing the heavy lifting, and Dad was a sider. So we got stuck dragging crap around, cleaning up the shit on the ground, all that good stuff. Terrible work, honestly, but taught me a really good work ethic. That was always the rule of thumb. You do not paint siding. And now there are some products that are applicable in a vinyl environment. Now, I still don't recommend them as a contractor, but
yeah, right.
Because that's what I was taught,
Yeah.
Not to say that things can't change, but yeah, you're 100% right, man. Every time somebody has ever told me that, I'm like, that is the dumbest thing I have ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
But, you're a house flipper. You do it your way, man.
Yes.
Screw the next
And
guy.
that's exactly who it was for. It was for an investment company that we worked for, and they had asked us to do that. Now, there was a couple homes. Now, that was the only one that we did, but I noticed that they had did that on some other ones, and they were able to get away with it. But the darker the color, the worse that it got. But like you said, there are certain products out there like James Hardy or LP Smart Siding and things like that that you can paint. And I've even seen a nice aluminum siding paint job as well.
It's doable.
Yeah.
It's doable. So my wife and I own a rental. And I was talking to the guy at the paint counter. This is going off freaking way off, man. But, we were talking about the quality. We talk about quality all the time in our business. And I was talking to the chick at the paint counter. I'm like, why do people buy the cheapest paint? Bob and I were just talking about this earlier because he bought some paint at Ollie's Bargain Outlet one time to paint his house. Ask him about it in a minute. I'm like, why would you do the job twice, man? And that's what we innately do to our homeowners. I've done it to myself. I've indoctrinated myself to go, why would I do this twice? I'm going to own the property as a rental for a while. Why would I buy the shit paint and paint with the shit paint?
Yes. Yeah.
You know, why wouldn't I side the house instead of painting it? Because I'm going to have to do it in 5 years and it's going to cost me more labor.
Yes.
Because we know what happens.
And that's a good point. And this could segue into another conversation here. That's the difference between price and cost, right? Like everyone's worried about the price, but what is it going to cost you later?
Yes.
Right. To use the cheap paint or go with the cheaper shingles or go with the cheaper contractor. Yes, their price maybe up front might have been cheaper, but what is it going to cost you in the long run?
Yeah. And that's what it really boils down to. Bob, what did that cost on your marriage? When you had to paint that.
It's been so long ago. She's forgiven me over that.
Bob, what did you learn from that?
I learned that I bought paint about the color of that board and batten siding behind you, and that like barn red. And I think we painted it like 4 times, and it looked like a murder scene in there. And yeah, never again. Bear Marquee paint from Lowe's, baby. That's the way to go. So absolutely.
No doubt.
That's funny.
No doubt.
Well, and you talk about cost and value though. Like
Yeah.
we don't think about that in our business sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes it costs us more to have that shitty customer that doesn't want the good product because they're going to be more of a pain in the ass.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
And like that's the hardest thing. We go back to that similar conversation where we talk about, you know, I like to call it firing customers. I've been fortunate enough to be able to do it. And I say fortunate enough because, you know, there were times when I just had to power through the struggle with that absolute turd of a customer.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're watching, this ain't you, I promise. You know, but you know, we all have them though. We all have those horror stories.
Yes.
Or
Everybody does.
war stories.
And it sucks when you have 2 or 3 going on at one time.
Oh yeah, man.
It's the worst.
Yeah. But you know, when you're able to fire those customers, was
Yeah.
the cost on my freaking heart worth it?
Yeah.
For the
Or your
value.
team's heart, really, when it gets down to it, and you have your team out there and they're killing themselves over this person that really doesn't appreciate or value your services. And it almost seems like at the end of the day, that they want something done for free anyhow. And it's like some customers just aren't a good fit.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of companies, and it's true, but to a certain extent, it's like not the customer, right? Yes, should come first, but in reality, it's like your team should come first.
Yeah, 100%. Because at the end of the day, it's kind of like a marriage, right? Like
Mhm.
at the end of the day, you've got to go home with these people.
Yeah.
Right. The customer you'll forget about them in a couple months,
Mhm.
but at the end of the day, you have to put the value in your people that are working with you. And I think another thing that I've learned, I don't know if it's a good trait or a bad trait, but I'll just flat out ask somebody, like, what do you want? Like when it becomes difficult enough, because at this point in the game, I've removed myself from a lot of the different processes within the business. I'm not saying I'm hyper successful or anything, but I've done a decent job with delegation, and I'm not in the day-to-day sales. I'm not in the day-to-day production. I'm working on the business instead of in the business. So when I show up, there's a problem. When there's that problem, if I can tell a customer it's going to be difficult, I'll just flat out say, okay, what do you want? Like,
Mhm.
and it's not to demean them or to put them down, but you got to get to because there are those difficult customers that it just seems like it's never going to end. And if we can get the end in sight, if we can figure out what that target is,
Mhm.
Man, it relieves the conversation.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And then it takes the pressure off of my people around me because now I can go, look, guys, all they wanted was that gutter guard fixed, and it sounded like it was 500 other things.
Well, and this is the thing. I think so many times we get wrapped up in the profit, and we're terrified to ask that question because a lot of times we have to take it on the chin as contractors. We either have to take a price off the cost of it, or we have to give free gutter guards. And I think the sooner that we can give into that and ask that question, well, what is it? What will it take to make you happy? I think the relief comes over them. The relief comes over you and or your team once you actually figure out, like, what is it that you want? Because it's almost like both of you go into this dance where you're dancing around this question of like, okay, how much are you going to take off the job?
That's what they really want.
Yes. And that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, or in Bob's world, where he's in more of an insurance market. Hey, I don't want to pay my deductible because it always ends up being that mystical $1,000 is what they want off the bill, and that's what's got to come out of their pocket. And I know Bob does a really good job of making sure that they pay that damn thing because he'll fix every freaking problem. I don't know if he's a smart guy or a dumb guy, but he's a guy. So,
yes.
And if you get them to, if you get the customer to say that too, just to vocalize it, they've committed to themselves. That's their line too. So it creates almost like the bottom of the conversation. And if you're not willing to, do that, if they ask for the world, you can essentially just say, well, I'm not willing to do that. This isn't going to work out. I'll see you tomorrow. and I'm on to my next customer, right? But for the customer themselves, they've set an expectation with themselves, and that's a really powerful move.
The beauty is most of the time it's reasonable. Most of the time their demands are reasonable. You'll get that one-off customer who wants their house resided because you got a little bit of tar on it when you tore the roof off.
Right.
There's that guy, and that guy will always be there. I don't care how many generations from now we're talking. There's that guy that'll want the world for free. But most of the time, they just want to feel value, just like the rest of us do. That's why we're doing what we do, right? Like, we talk about unappreciative employees all the time. Like, sometimes we just want to feel valued by them. I was listening to, I think it was my pastor who was talking about, and I don't know if we're allowed to get biblical on here, but I will a little bit.
Yeah, why not?
He talks about how God gives us, it's a matter of our gratitude is the best thing we can give ourselves, was the exact terms that he used. That might have been Steve Harvey. I'm not sure. It was something in the biblical lines, but he said, think about it. If you give someone a house for free and they have no gratitude, are you willing to give that person more versus the person who had all the gratitude in the world? You gave them a free shitty house and they have all the gratitude. You're willing to help out the person who had the gratitude. I know we kind of got off segment there a little bit.
Okay.
I'm running on like 4 hours of sleep.
No,
but it was something that I heard that was like, holy crap. How can I reciprocate gratitude in my life to the people around me?
Yeah.
Right. And we can do that with our customers. Like if you let them know, I'm super grateful for you. One thing we did this last year is we started sending out gift boxes, and you'd be amazed at the feedback we got from people for a $50 gift box. We throw together, put a little bit of local wine in there or something, or whatever was local. We try to find local stuff. Chocolates. We had one for couples. We had one for families. We had one for single men, I think. But we had like 3 different tiers of boxes, and we were giving those out. And like the people were just like, oh my gosh, this is so great. They forget about all the crazy stuff that happened on their job that wasn't perfect or wasn't the way they thought it was supposed to be or the way that we painted the picture.
Yeah.
Sorry, man. I just kind of stole the stage there and went off on a
No.
tangent.
That's okay. So what I was just thinking when you were talking there was, are these boxes that you guys make, or did you hire a company to throw these boxes together?
No. So what happened is we hired a marketer and he gave me a box, and I'm like, this is really thoughtful, man. I can't fire this dude. I don't care how much he sucks. And I did end up firing him. It took me longer than it probably should have.
Yes.
But in that thought process, I went, holy crap. Like, this is like, I feel valued. I reciprocate this dude's gratitude because he gave me something that I wasn't expecting. The other day, what do they expect? What's the contract say? We're going to do your roof, your siding, your windows, your gutters, whatever. Right. So I tasked my office girls. I said, hey, I have this vision for these 3 boxes, and I want local things in here, and go out and find me and spend X amount of dollars. So we capped it at like $50, and they went out and they built these boxes. And like the family one has an American flag, fleece blanket, popcorn, and I think some movie, we're throwing a movie in there or something. It's like a movie night. Okay. Right. And like some candy and stuff like that for the family.
Yeah.
The couples one, like my wife's family has a winery. So we buy local wine from them in bulk. We'd throw a bottle of wine in there, a couple glasses, and all that good stuff. Yeah. And then the men's one, I think, had like some menly stuff. I couldn't tell you, to be honest with you, but they would actually put these together, and then we'd hand deliver them to the customers. I'll be honest with you, as we started to scale a little bit, it's become a little less feasible, but I think it's something that's super valuable. Because we're getting feedback on the fly. We're hearing about the things they weren't so happy with, but they're able to kind of look past when they're minute, right?
Yeah, right.
Like I had to pick up a couple nails by myself.
So were you sending these out to only the clients that weren't so friendly, or are you sending them out to everybody?
Every single client was
okay.
We would do gift box deliveries, and
personally.
I would deliver some. We would kind of mix it up.
Wow.
Because we service a pretty large area, so it's kind of hard to deliver them all, because we service about a 60-mile radius outside of the town. So you kind of group them in a box in categories, and you go, I'm going to give this to, and all that good stuff. Yeah. And I mean, sometimes you deliver them a little bit earlier when somebody's a little disgruntled, just to kind of ease it over, and like it puts that icing on the cake or the Band-Aid on the boo-boo, right?
Right.
And then like Joe was kind of saying, now it gets us a little bit closer to what they want. Now they can tell me, hey, here's what you want. And they'll kind of say, yeah, you know what? I wasn't too happy with this, but there's always that but, right? Like when somebody gives you a gift, like you can't really be upset,
Yeah. Oh,
So
no, that's a great idea. That's why I was asking you some questions about that. Like if there's somebody that we could call, I'm sure there is. Um,
there's a few different companies
that
out there.
that would do that. Yeah. I mean, that sounds like a great idea. And for anyone listening, starting out in business on a smaller scale, I mean, someone that does whatever, however, let's just say 1,000 roofs a year, right? I don't know if that would be, like you said, feasible.
It's
to-
we're
to-
outgrowing.
Yeah,
is our
to
new
cover that,
problem.
because Christ, you'd spend $100,000 on gift box. But going back to somebody that might be starting out that, has a handful of clients pre-existing or whatever, to send out gift boxes, that's a great idea, especially like maybe around Christmas time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and just do it.
It
Go ahead.
doesn't have to be much either. I mean, you're talking about the cost value here. It's like what's important is the appreciation, and there's actually a tactic for it in marketing. The marketing world is called appreciation marketing. And you wouldn't believe a lot of people think, a thank you note is the end of the road, but a thank you note in a lot of ways can actually bring up a business. It can give you leads. It can generate new business for you just by saying thank you to your existing customers.
Mm.
And why is that? Well, when you show appreciation to people, there is like an intrinsic, I feel indebted now, in a certain way. And so they'll be more likely to refer you. They'll be more likely to leave you reviews. They'll be more likely to talk about you. You're creating stories with that customer that are shared, and they'll be more likely to bring you up in the future. And so that's a really powerful thing that's going to lead to more business to you down the road if you do it consistently enough. And it doesn't have to be expensive, right?
It's a side effect, right?
Yeah.
Like everything we do is a side effect to get to our ultimate goal, which is to get more business, right? But like that's not our intention.
Right.
And that's not why we do it. We do it because we truly appreciate our customers,
Right.
right?
You're
'Cause we're
showing
able-
your gratitude.
Yeah, how
Yeah.
many families are we feeding? You
Yeah,
know,
right.
We actually have started now. You can custom order Texas Roadhouse gift cards with your logo on them. So we're
Oh,
going to actually start
nice.
sending those out in gift cards because, yeah, I mean, we did about 300 roofs this year. It's a lot. I mean, when you're trying to deliver that many boxes, it's we have a massive backlog at our office. We're transitioning out of it. Like you said, for that guy that's I'd say 150, 200, it's 100% feasible. And honestly, it is the best marketing that you can possibly do for yourself because it's getting you in front of the customer when you're starting to remove yourself, and you can now get that feedback on the fly and maybe catch that crappy review that's coming and fix it before it becomes a 3 or a 4, right?
Yes.
And turn them all into 5s.
Yeah.
And once again, side effect.
Yeah.
That was never our intention was to get all 5s.
No, it's very thoughtful. I mean, it's not like you're not spending money on that. So you're just really just showing your gratitude, letting them know that, hey, we're still here. We didn't forget about you. Give us a call if you need anything. Or if there's an issue with what we did for you, don't hesitate to call us.
What are you guys doing as far as follow-up goes, Ty, at your size? Like, are you following back up with your customers after you're
That's a great question. And I'll be honest with you, we're not doing it enough. And we just had a meeting not that long ago about, following up, whether it be, a week later, 3 weeks later, or even 3 months later, just following up saying, hey, how are things going? Just wanting to check in on you. How's your roof? Things like that. So we are actually in the phase of creating a process where we are going to do a better job of following up, because it's so hard at the pace that we're moving. And it always seems like the lack of manpower that we have, especially in the office. Now, as far as, the production side of things goes, and we just talked about this too, but there's more production manpower than there seems to be like admin manpower, right? Man or woman power, right? So like we're still in that we're constantly in growth mode. So it's kind of like, that's one thing that we haven't done a good enough job on. So I'm totally open for any suggestions on, what are people doing to follow up, to have an impactful follow-up, right? I mean, it's easy to call and say, hey, how you doing? Chances are they probably won't answer the phone anyhow.
The impactful one's big, right? Because we do like 1, 6, and 12-month review. We
Mhm.
call it review and referral.
Yeah.
Because we're calling you, we're asking how everything's going. And if everything sounds good, all right, do you have anybody that you could recommend to us? And then we're going to give you another, you already reviewed us on Google. Now
Mhm.
I would like for you to review us on the BBB if you don't mind. It really helps out our business.
Yeah.
But I would be open to hearing if these guys have something that's deeper than that, because we're
right.
not going very deep in the weeds on it.
Yeah, we aren't, definitely not either.
There's a couple of suggestions in the comments. I mean, TC Backer sounds like you're doing coffee mugs, or maybe doing coffee mugs. Texas Roadhouse gift cards from Hunter Bailey says that. And then Hunter also said maybe you should send out a framed picture of Dylan posed by the pool All
Mhm.
great ideas,
Yeah, or Glenn
all winning.
by the fireplace in Denton, Texas. Now Lauren and I have sent out Lowe's gift cards. I mean, but there's been no consistency of a process, right? Like that's just one area that we failed. I don't want to say miserably on being consistent on the follow-up process.
Yeah, and maybe there's a need for that in the marketplace for contractors.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and the highest quality leads you're going to get are those referral leads, right? So it just makes sense to invest in that, and I think it's a really important thing that a lot of people overlook.
Yeah.
And I would a strategy I've seen work really well too is actually lower. A lot of people give referral bonuses, right? You know, you book the appointment, $500 off the roof or whatever if it's a referral. I would say lower that, make it smaller. Let's say $100 off, then it can spread further. And don't you know when you're asking for a referral from somebody, don't predicate it on you closing the job either, because the customer is not in charge of you closing the job. That's up to your sales rep to do. Just give them $100 if they book appointment, right? If the person referred books an appointment,
Yeah.
give them $100, give them $50, right? But smaller amounts, wider spread, and give it to them with a lower burden of entry. And that's a really powerful way to just like leverage that network effect of referrals and do that after the job. I like your multiple month follow-up, Dylan. I think that's really powerful.
It is powerful. We sent Christmas cards out and there was a topic, I don't know when it was or who it was with, but my question out in Utah for the people that came on the show is like, when is the sale over?
That's what we thought, right?
Yeah. Like, and I think a lot of people think the sale is over when you collect that deposit check, when the job's over and you collect that final check. But going back to what you were saying, the sale is never over, by the way, for anybody listening. And that's why follow-up would be so crucial, because it's not over. The 3-month, the 6-month, and the 12-month follow-up, like it's never over. It is our job to create that rapport, create that friendship, that partnership with those homeowners, because that if you're, a lot of business is based upon referrals, right? And if you want those referrals, you got to do a good job and you have to follow up, and the sale is never over. You got to have that mentality that it's not a smash and grab. You know, it's the experience that they have with you, right? Like from the presentation to when the deposit check is collected to the process of the installation from presentation of that. Like, are you using a catch-all? Are you using an equipter? Has it been cleaned up? Did the third person come through with the magnet? When the salesperson goes out, collects the final payment, right? I think a lot of people think, because I heard so many different answers, I think at that point in time, I think a lot of people think the sale is over. But honestly, is that like when it really begins?
Yeah. I mean, well, because the goal for us when we were thinking about these processes was, I want to be your roofer for this roof, and I want to be your roofer for every other roof that you do, right? Like that's the goal. But outside of that, I want to be the roofer that you're telling your friends about. I want to be the roofer that you're referring out. And I know Bob organically has done a great job in his little podunk ass communities and of becoming the roofer, right? But that's the goal at the end of the day. Like, it's like you said, the sale isn't over. It's never over. You are constantly chasing that person, because odds are they know someone that needs a roof, and you don't want them to forget about you. At the end of the day, man, that's the primary goal. Because if we did a smashing job, man, odds are they're going to forget about us. And that was what we thought, right? They're going to forget about us in a month. Yeah. More than likely. Unless something comes up, they got to look us up again. They forget about us in a month. Another thing that Hunter actually, I scabbed this from him, but we had stickers made, and we told people, put these on your electrical boxes. And it says, this lifetime roof was proudly installed by American Metal Roofing. With any issues or storms in your area, please call blah, 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 blah. They're going to sell that house in a couple of years. Yeah. That's the trend, right? The goal is to keep, and like I said, I got to give Hunter all the credit in the world for that. That was his idea, but that's something we adopted. Yeah. And they're just little stuff, man. You got to leave little hints behind. Like, let them know that you were the roofer at the end of the day. Of course.
Yeah. Jack Ryan in the comments says he's like 3, 6, and 9 months follow-up. That's what they do. They do gift cards. They do Christmas gifts, birthday gifts. He says, I get their birthdays so I can he gets their birthday dates so he can send them a gift to the kids. That's really thoughtful. That's awesome. And then if they don't have kids, he figures out something else. And he says it helps out big time with reviews and getting new business. That's awesome. Thanks, Jack.
Bob, what about with you and the well program that you work with? How's that worked out? You guys donate you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. So it was clean water. It wasn't really a well, but yeah. So what it was a water filter that they could use, and it was good for 10 years, I believe. So the nice thing about that, the organization we teamed up with, they will once a month, we would send them a check with a list of the names of the people that we did jobs for. And I think it only cost us $40 a job. They would send a co-branded thank you card to the customer. Thank you for teaming up with Whole Roofing and Filter of Hope, which was nice because then it put our name back in front of them after the sale, after the job was done, you know. So, I mean, you know, and I never heard any stories like, oh man, I remembered to call you back after this. But once again, that was, 4 to 6 weeks after their last interaction with us. They got that. So, and we just did that for every job, repair, full job. It just didn't matter. It was just easier to send it out to everybody.
That's really cool. And what exactly does Filter of Hope do?
So it provides a filter to a family in a third world country, and that filter is good up to 10 years to process water, so it's clean drinking water.
That's incredible. That's really cool that you did that.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I brought it up is because it doesn't have to be. You don't have to give them anything.
Yeah,
you can give them an idea. It's not even an idea. You're donating it in their honor, right? That's kind of like the idea there. You can partner up with an organization that you and your team believe in. One thing that Chuck always says at Top Rep. Have you ever been to Top Rep?
No.
I'm going in 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. I'll be there.
It's really good. Chuck's a stud in our industry, and he kills it. But he tells the story about when they were showing their purpose in the home, right? On their iPads, they have their little presentation and they're showing their purpose in the home. The goal was to get to get your sales rep so emotional in it and so involved in it that when he's telling this story, they use the example of a project called Firefly, which is for kids with cancer. And they're telling this story that we give back to this organization. And the goal is to get them so emotionally invested. Once again, it's just a side effect, right? We want them so emotionally invested that we believe in this enough, that you believe in this enough as the homeowner, that you know that when you're spending money with us, we're doing a give back, right? And we're all doing give backs within our communities. At least we should be as business owners.
Right.
But we can even hinge off of that and then, like I said, kind of going off of what Bob said, give that recognition. Thank you for helping it. Team up with that organization. I guarantee you they have a program with it. Whatever you're doing, Boys and Girls Club of America, American Cancer Society, they have something where they can help you out. And once again, we're not doing it because we don't believe in it or it's not our purpose, but we're doing it as a side effect. And at the end of the day, we want that customer to know that we truly did that.
Yeah.
And we truly care.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's giving back to the community that's been so good to you. I mean, think about it. Without the community, we wouldn't be where we're at today. So why not give back?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, what can you do in your local community? I think that's we try to get too broad sometimes, right? Like we want to go for it all. We want to go for the national organization that we're a drop in their bucket. What about the one in your backyard? You know?
Yeah, for sure. And I can relate to that because I know when we first started to do stuff for the community, we were kind of all over the place. And we felt like we weren't having an impact anywhere because we were spreading it so thin that we didn't see a change or a difference. So we got tied in with a local church here that does all kinds of things. They have food pantries. They do diaper drives. They allowed us to do the 21 turkey there. So most of our efforts when it comes to giving back to the community, we focus on that area with him, Pastor Joel, down at the Union. And he does so much stuff. So we compliment him on everything that he does. I mean, there's self-help groups that are held in his church. I mean, he does so much. And then when there's overflow of the homeless shelter across the street, he lets them just, go where they need to go and stay warm. And they provide clothing, blankets, socks. Socks is a huge thing that we don't think about or take.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, we take that for granted.
Bombas built an entire company based on that premise right there. They almost don't have socks.
Yeah, man, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's really amazing. And then diapers, right? So when we think of diapers, right, we're thinking, toddlers, 2 through 5 or whatever the hell it is. We're not even thinking adult diapers.
Yeah.
Right. Like they needed adult diapers when we did our diaper drive. And it's like, oh, they're like, don't forget the adult diapers. And we're like, okay, yeah, right. We'll
good.
make sure we get a bunch of them. But when you get in the trenches like that and you bring your team to get in the trenches like that, and you want to talk about, a lot of companies like, well, how do you build such a great culture? We'll go downtown the day before Thanksgiving and feed 800 people.
Yeah.
That's impact. That's not just on the community, but what it does for us, it makes us even more hungrier to want to give back.
Yeah, because now it's not just about me feeding my family,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now it becomes me as a sales rep working for TC. I'm wanting to go out and I'm hungry because I want to make sure that when we're doing these give backs that I gave my 100 all.
Yeah.
So that way we could impact our community as much as possible that needs it.
Yeah.
Right. The people that poured into me. That's huge, man. Like we do actually, I was here in Hagerstown in 2020 to do a roof for a veteran. I got connected with a guy on TikTok.
Nice.
And we got out here. And that was huge, man. And it was just like me, my brother, and some random dude who was like, hey, man, I want to help. And we just took him along for the ride. And,
That's awesome.
That was super cool. But we're actually come full circle. Saturday, we're doing another roof for our veteran right in our backyard. We got the entire team involved, man.
Nice.
And like people are calling me. Jason can pledge for it. We're on the way over here. And I got a sales rep call me and he's like, yeah, man, is it for sure this weekend? It's Valentine's Day weekend. I'm like, yeah, man, it's for sure this weekend. I'm like, but if you, you can't force anybody to do it. I'm like, dude, if you got something going on,
yeah.
He's like, no, I want to be there. And like when you get that full buy-in from those guys, now it's like, okay, this isn't just the Dylan show, right? Because that's the goal. This isn't the Ty show. This isn't the Bob show.
Not even close.
At the end of the day, this is our show together collectively, and we're going to pull this damn thing together.
Yeah, for sure. And this is what's crazy about all of this. So our first big job that we did for the community, we didn't tell anybody that had worked with us. We went up there, we tore the roof off, we're doing gutters. And then it was one of my first lives that I've ever did outside of behind the tool belt. I don't even know if we were doing this yet. And that's another story too, on how this actually got started, was to promote our charitable events. We didn't know how else to do it.
That's awesome.
So someone suggested to, do a Facebook Live, but so we were on site and we gave them a full blown lifetime roof, gutter system, like totally watertight, this entire building. And it's a big building. And I went live and I let the cat out of the bag, and Colin, who was our gutter guy at the time, like overheard me stating this, and he came over and was like, dude, I don't want paid for today. And that's where the domino effect happened for us. Like, not only what did I personally got out of doing what we did for them, but everyone else that was there. I mean, there was a handful of us there that did this project. Of course, we couldn't get everybody there just because, we needed people working so we could, afford to do things like this. But it opened my eyes on the impact that it had, not just on those people. And this also had a food bank there. And there was probably 300 people waiting in line to collect food. And we put a new roof on this building. But that impact that it had on me and those gentlemen, guys and gals, that helped us that day tear that roof off and install those gutters. Like, I think that's when the light bulb went off. Now, this was up in Lancaster County, which is a little ways from here. But that's when it occurred to me that we needed to be doing more here locally, like in our backyard, so we can feel the difference. They ended up giving us an award for that. We went up to the city of Lancaster, and I was up on the stage, and dude, I don't even know how many people were there. And, that was that I caught the bug at that point in time. I caught the bug and realized that how big of an impact that we could have on our community here in our backyard.
Just out of curiosity, just because I've done some work over here, did you work with an organization to do that roof?
The organization was called Crispus Attic,
okay.
I think.
I was just curious.
The name of it
was?
We
worked for Battle Buddy Response Team, and they actually had a job up in Lancaster they had us look at.
Okay.
It was just a little bit too much for us to travel 8 hours to come do. And I was like, man, I can give you some references out this way. I obviously didn't know you guys at that point, but, a vet that needed some help out there. Just like I said, side note. Anyways.
Yeah, no, this is good. It's a great topic. I love talking about giving back. I get it from my mom. My mom devoted most of her life to working with the community and children and things. That's where I get it from. And I got big shoes to fill.
I was just talking to a contractor whose entire marketing strategy is just community development. Like, no, they don't do any billboards, no TV, no radio, no postcards, nothing like that. It's just they're invested in the local baseball team. They're showing up to cookouts, the schools. And what I thought was really poignant about this contractor's approach was they look at it like a 10-year plan. Like
Mhm.
they're putting a down payment on a community for a decade. And I thought that was so impressive. It's such a valiant way to approach business, to think about it generationally.
Yeah. No,
What
that's huge.
Yeah. What are you? I mean, you all own roofing businesses. What are you looking at this year? I mean, what's your down payment to the future for, making sure your businesses are moving forward in the community and beyond too? Like, what are you focusing on this year?
Bob's been quiet.
Yeah, Bob. Don't fall asleep on us, buddy.
Yeah. No, if anybody talks to me very long, Dave Ramsey always gets brought up. Huge Dave Ramsey fan. We live our life, our personal life and our business life, and a lot of people think he's just get out of debt guy. And yeah, that's the first step, but it's his entire premise is live like no one else. So later one day you can live and give like no one else. And it was, probably 4 years ago, I heard a sermon one day, and this guy talked about the first time he was able to give $10,000 away. And back then I was like, holy shit, $10,000. Like, that's a lot of money to give away in one day, and, it's kind of cool because, like, full circle now, like, me and my wife is in the position that if the right charity needed it, like we could be able to do that. I think, me, Ty, and Dylan, we're all in that spot, So one thing we've done is I sponsor the Dave Ramsey class in local high schools, and and I want to be known as the guy that they just reach out to when they need help. We had a softball team from the next county over need help, and I was like, "Yep." And the lady I messaged her. I was like, "I'll help you out," and she called me, and she's like asking for like the 25 and the 50 and the $100 donations. I'm like, what's it take just to take care of the team? Mm-hmm. And she's like, $3,870 or something. I was like, all right, that's fine. We'll do it. Just send me over what you need. And her husband worked right up the road, So it was just, I don't know. It's just one of them things that for me, just to give back, because like Ty says, like our business isn't what it is without our local community. And, Dylan joked about my little podunk town. I mean, we're a town of like 6,000 people. However, I just met with a guy from the city today because we've got to double our warehouse space because we're freaking busting at the seams, and he's like, geez, my peas, you got cars everywhere and trucks everywhere. I'm like, yeah, man, so it's just, I don't know. It's just something like that. Like I'm investing in that. I love small business and I want more people to have that opportunity. And that's kind of my goal with pouring into that class. But me and my wife take it one step further, and we go visit each of them classes at the end of the semester. And you talk about an impact, and you talk about people that randomly come up to you in places. Like one night, a waitress came up. She's like, "Are you Bob Hoel?" I mean, I've got a blue sweatshirt that says Hoel Roofing on it. Like, I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I paid cash for my car, and I'm going to go to school debt free." And that's cool when somebody walks up. You talk, we're Revolt Brothers here. We talk about, integrity, leadership, legacy. Like you talk about a legacy. Like I say, like, how is me investing in that class, invested in that girl? Like, what's going to happen to her kids and her grandkids? Like, they'll never know my name, but we were a small part of, of starting that. So, I don't know. It's just, you can't help too much, in my opinion, on, something like that. So that's kind of, that's where my heart is at. Like, I mean, double down. Like that's what I want to do,
Yeah.
And something really cool about that is a lot of the Revolt guys now have reached out and they've sponsored their local high school in the exact same thing. Brian Ward is a good friend of ours in, down in Pensacola, Florida area, I believe. Hopefully I didn't say that area wrong. He sponsored his entire county. So like, wow. And then Michael Dyer is a friend of ours that is down in, I believe one of his locations is in Mississippi. He reached out last year. He's like, "Hey man, I just want to tell you, I sponsored a couple schools." And so just sharing that, it's just, you just never know what kind of impact you can make.
Yeah.
That's good, man.
Yeah, man. You never know whose lives you're impacting, especially because, Bob, I heard your story, you and Emily's story when you went into school that one day, man. That's pretty impactful. And, the integrity, legacy, impact, that's what it's about. And And it's kind of cool. I mean, for most of us, I'm sure we struggled early on, and we were always trying to make ends meet. And finally, when you get to a position where it's, think that's not such a priority anymore, like, like putting food on your own table. And now your priority today is to have an impact, whether it be on your industry, whether it be on your community, whether it be on your family's life. Right. And when you can get into that position where that becomes more important, you start to forget, and at least for us, I mean, a lot of times people remind us all the time, like, oh, remember that time that you guys took care of this guy, or you took care of that guy, or you donated to this facility. It's like, it sometimes I go overboard with it. Like, if you ask my accountant, I mean, and I'm telling you, like, when I can step outside of me and can see a little bit further than this thing right here and put other people's cares and needs and wants in front of my own, this is what happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, whenever you can just step out of you, and I'll be honest with you, when you jump in the trenches and you think that you're having a bad day, brother,
Ain't even close, man.
not even close.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And honestly, that's what it's about. It's about, it's not even about us. It really isn't. Bob said it, without the community, we wouldn't be where we're at if it wasn't for those people, like Pastor Joel, that does what he's devoted his entire life to, taking care of others, right? Like, it's not even about the monetary value or what you're getting paid, but it's more so filling that God-shaped vacuum that we all have, that we try to fill up with, whether it be fast cars, a lot of money, women, drugs, whatever that might be. When you start to fill that up with other people's needs and wants, and making your dream big enough so their dreams can fit inside of it, like, miracles happen, things that your pipe dreams can't even fathom.
Yeah, it's actual fulfillment, right? Like, we don't know fulfillment until we have fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
All of us, when we started a business, it was probably to provide for our family
Mm-hmm.
and to become what we would deem as successful, right? All of us. I don't care what business you're in. Honestly, I don't care if you're working for someone. You are doing what you're doing to strive for fulfillment. That's why people continue to work for guys like you and I.
Mm-hmm.
Because let's be honest, man, we're stupid roofers, right? I've heard you say it, so I feel safe saying it.
Mm-hmm.
We're dumb roofers, man.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, like, we put extremely intelligent people around us that believe in us, but that's they're all chasing that fulfillment just like we are, man. Yeah. And I think that adding up this piece that we're on topic about,
Mm-hmm.
with this charitable component is huge. But I think another thing that maybe, for us, we're getting ready to redefine ours. We know ours are our vets and children. That's anything that reaches out. Those are the two most helpless that we feel like that
Mm-hmm.
we feel empowered to empower, right?
Yes.
Anytime we see an opportunity, we get a veteran like this gentleman we're getting ready to install this roof for. He has tried everything he can do. He even talked about selling his Jeep. I mean, he is like, I need a roof and I'm going to do whatever I got to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
My brother came to me. He's a Navy veteran. He says, you know what? We just got to do this. I feel like this is what we got to do. And we're just going to do it, man.
Yeah.
And the team 100%, man, like you said,
Yeah.
They didn't question it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. I'll pay him. That's fine. It's not to me. My mom hates it because she runs my books, but I say fuck the money all the time, man.
Yeah.
I do not care about the money. Like, the money is there,
Mm-hmm.
and it can be gone just as fast as it came.
Yeah.
Right. It's about that ultimate fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and also, man, you talk about like your team and like my kids. I mean, my kids are just 4, 6, and almost 8, but like how much they pay attention. Like, we did my daughter did the Princess on Main event where she collected canned goods, and she won, and she was so excited. And her dad here, he was going to make sure she's going to win, and a lot of Revolt brothers stepped up and made sure she won. However, like, we had the equipter. You guys watching to know what equipter is. We had it packed full of canned goods, and we actually had some in the back of my truck and some in the back of a sales rep's truck. And, and that was just to watch my kids and to hear my kids talk about that, and I'm fortunate. We send our kids to a private Christian school with the craziness of this world. I never dreamed I would do that 5 years ago, but, it's still cool to see, like, they see the give back. And, like, I preach at the house, like, guys, we love our team. Like, we're here to love our team, and one day I was like, what do we do? And I asked one of my kids, they said, we love our team, Daddy. And I was like, holy cow, like they're listening so much. But then again, our team is watching to say, if we say we're going to do something, are we going to do it? I've got a couple of my reps this year that they're going to sponsor their own. One's going to sponsor a baseball team. One's going to sponsor a basketball team. They're going to write the check, but it's going to say Hoel Roofing, and that's kind of cool because, some of these young sales guys that I get to lead or be a part of leading, like, they're making life-changing money that they've never made six figures. They've never had the opportunity to make six figures with no education or little college education, So I don't know. That's important to me. Like, if you focus on that, like, you really don't have to worry about as many leads and that kind of stuff because the quality, the quality of the leads just turn back around. The quality of people that you surround yourself with, and we had random people just bring in canned goods for my daughter for the food drive, like right into the office. Like, what do you think is going to happen when they need a roof? Like, they're going to remember carrying them goofy canned goods into our office. So
that's a side effect. Like,
right.
It's not the reason, but it is a damn side effect. Like, that's the ultimate aha for me.
Right.
Was like, as soon as I started figuring out, I'm not doing this shit because I want a roof.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I'm doing this shit. And how did you put it, Joe? What did you say? Writing checks for the future?
Yeah, putting a down payment on the future, I think, is what I said.
Down payment on the
future.
future.
I like writing checks for the future. We'll go with that.
Yeah, but right. Like, once you start to look at it from that lens, and it's not that we're doing it for that reason, but that's a side effect, it makes it a hell of a lot easier to spend the money.
Yeah.
Right. Because I'll see the return.
Mm-hmm.
It might not be tomorrow. It might not be for a couple of years.
Yeah.
But that person and those impressionable people that this is what means the most to them, and we're showing that it means the most to us by donating, it leaves a massive imprint on who they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one thing Ty said earlier was like consistency. You say that you're not been the best at consistency of the follow-up. One thing, me and my lovely bride of almost 12 years, like, we started the Dave Ramsey stuff 12 years ago. And like, people made fun of us. They're like, have you lost your loving mind? And we did what he said, like, don't go out to eat, don't go on vacations, like, get your finances together, But, for us, like, I literally just had a kid that I coached in youth football reach out like, hey, man, I know when I got married, you offered to send me and my wife to the Dave Ramsey class, and we kind of half-assed it. And I was like, bud, like, I want to love on you. I want to be here, but I want to hold you accountable. Like, it's not hard. It's easy. It's just not, it isn't easy. It's simple. And, so now I'm starting to get people calling me, texting me, reaching out to me and my wife, like, hey, I know you guys have been doing this Dave Ramsey stuff for a while now. Like, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And like, once again, they just had a little baby. Like, how am I going to affect that baby's life? And the one story that Ty alluded to earlier, like, we went to a lower income school and to talk to Dave Ramsey stuff that we sponsored. And this girl walked up, she was 16 years old and she was pregnant. And she wrote us a note while we sat there and spoke to the class, crying out for help. Like, what can I do? What should I do? Like, what that baby that she had, like, what is that baby going to do? Cure cancer? Maybe they're going to start the next Tesla. I don't know. Maybe they start the next Apple company, so I don't know. It's just the consistency in that, it's the one book, is it Simon Sinek that, I thought of that whenever you said like the 10-year plan, yeah, it's losing me there, but always thinking of down the road, man, you know what book I'm talking about, Dylan?
Yeah, but I only read 70 last year, so
we didn't read them because we know John Maxwell knows you can't read.
I know John Maxwell said I can't read, so here we are.
Yeah. This is a great topic. Go ahead, Bob. Finish what you were going to say.
Yeah, just the consistency of it. At the end of the day, man, just being consistent. No matter what that is, with your family, your business, your marketing, just the consistency. I mean, Ty, 163 episodes of this. I just started the podcast thanks to your encouragement and your help. I think we've shot 6 or 7. So like, I look at you, you're like, damn, 167. But like earlier was said, one brick at a time. That's how you're going to get to 200. That's how I'm going to get to 50. My goal is 26 this year. One every 2 weeks we're releasing, so.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And it is consistency. It's hard work, and everything that we do is hard work, even if it's charitable, suiting up and showing up every day. But the one thing that I can tell you and what I've noticed over the years, at least over the past 10, the more that I give away, the more that I reciprocate. I can't explain it. I've tried to figure out, I've even questioned it. Like, I didn't have 2 pennies to rub together, but yet here I'm giving the shirt off my back to somebody else. But somehow, some way, it's always came back tenfold. And there was never any ulterior motive. And I honestly believe if your motives are accurate and you're not really doing it for like a marketing stunt, most of the things that we do for our community isn't televised. We're not running live specials. Now, our one big event has drawn the attention to 2 or 3 news outlets and stuff like that. And that wasn't intentional, right? That's just somebody took notice too. And now we're asked to do it at 2 different locations to try to maybe answer Joe's question. Like, what are we going to do this year? And to top what we did last year or whatever. But that's not easy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'll be honest with you. I don't know if we received one job from any of that stuff that we did, but it really didn't matter. Like, we found it in different ways, like whether it just made me feel better or the team pulled together and just, I can't explain it. And I really, it doesn't really matter why things are as good as they are today, but I contribute it to the things that we've done and have given. And it doesn't matter the amount of money. It really doesn't matter. Listen, I wasn't born with money, and I'm sure as hell not going to die with it. And believe me, I've lost it and have rebuilt it. And, it's just money.
And what you're experiencing though is a law of gratitude, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember who said it, and it may be in the Bible. I just know a lot of shit sticks with me.
Mm-hmm.
But it talks about if you give everything up, you're giving room for you to get more.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what you're experiencing. Vicarious. You don't know. That's
Mm-hmm.
why you're experiencing it. But the thing that always drives me is like, my grandparents were the most giving people you would ever meet in your life. Same story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Give you the shirt off their back. My grandfather was born a poor man. He died a poor man. He was not wealthy by worldly terms.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, that man had more than any of us could ever dream of, right? I've never seen so many people's grandkids get up and speak at his funeral.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's the story I want. That's the reason why I live today.
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing to do, dude. I want a plane.
Yeah.
Like I want a plane, period. End of story. Why? Couldn't tell you.
Mm-hmm.
It's just something I want. But even more than that, I want all of my kids and grandkids to be so grateful for the things that I was able to impact them on in their life. And outside of that, we have an opportunity with our businesses
Mm-hmm.
to be deeper than just our immediate family, right? We have our work family. We have our brotherhood within Revolt. We have all these other opportunities to go deeper than that.
Mm-hmm.
My goal is to get as many people as possible to be grateful that I impacted their life on a positive note.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And if I can accomplish that, I'll be looking down smiling, man.
Absolutely.
Right.
And that's what made your grandfather the richest man in the world, though.
100%.
It had nothing to do with the dollar or money. It had to do with his fulfillment and the legacy that he left behind. Think about the legacy that he left.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And his impact is circle, right? Like, because money is a vehicle
Mm-hmm.
that gives us the opportunity to create more impact.
Mm-hmm.
So unfortunately, his sphere was as big as he could make it. Like, he maxed that mofo out, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can firmly consent to that. However, mine can be a hell of a lot bigger, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I'm carrying his legacy on my back at the end of the day.
Yeah.
He laid we talk about the bricks, right?
Mm-hmm.
We did that why exercise with Michael Marciel. Were you in the room when we did that?
Yeah.
And he boiled it down. I just kind of had an aha moment. My why was because my grandparents didn't sacrifice everything they had for me to live a better life,
Mm-hmm.
for me to fuck it up.
Yeah. Right.
Right.
Right. No. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with you trying to be their biggest success.
Yeah.
Right. That's one of my whys, or one of my purposes is to be my parents, my grandparents' biggest success. Right. And the reason why I say that, because there at one point in time in my life, I was not.
Yeah.
Right. So, but my goal today is, I would love to make my dad happy. Finally, make him happy and carry on his legacy, my mom's legacy, my grandfather, my grandparents, my cousins, be their biggest success. Right. And that's what we're shooting for, whether we know that or not. But to do that deliberately and have that pointed out to you, now it's going to be much easier to try to be that success, their biggest success.
Well, and I think that's something we allude to when we're talking about what's our driving force, right? Because, I know a lot of us have somebody to prove wrong. I mean, I do. I have people in my life to prove wrong, but perhaps maybe even bigger than that, we can prove that we're not a version of ourselves that people think we are, or that we have a perspective that we think we are. I know we're getting like a little philosophical here, but like I feel like it's a good conversation to have, because you don't have to have a freaking antagonist in your story. You can be the damn antagonist and the hero.
Oh yeah.
Right. You can I know your story, right? You know mine. We both have a past that haunts us, right? And we're just trying to fight that damn person.
Yeah.
There's no one person. I know Hunter Ballou has some people in his life, a previous father or a previous girlfriend's dad that told him he would never be anything more than his parents. I know Bob, you and I have talked deeply, and I won't get too much into your story. You can if you want, but you've got people in your life that you're proving wrong. But at the end of the day, man, like, what about just them versions of ourselves that we just don't want to be or be thought of as?
Well, Ty, you already are making ton of people proud, and you already are, a huge success, And one thing that hit me when you're talking about the more you give away, the more that flows to you. And I think of that clenched fist, like, yeah, if you have $1 million and you clench it, like, you're not going to lose it, but you sure in hell ain't going to get any more. So that open hand, that's going back to my mentor, Dave Ramsey. Like he even says, a dog understands a clenched fist and an open hand, So, I mean, that's your success. It's no different than, I'm in the building stage right now where I'm trying to train sales guys and, promote a sales manager and all that. And yeah, like that's costing me money, but holy cow, like, the opportunity that I'm in the process of giving a 25-year-old kid, to make $200,000 in Podok, Indiana, like, yeah, that's going to cost me a little bit of money. But once again, like, what's the success of him and his family and his kids? And, like, yeah. And I mean, maybe we've all got past, like, I've got a sales rep for me that, he was on freaking drugs and selling drugs 2 years ago. And he will tell you working for me and my wife is the best thing that ever happened for him. And it's like, that's what gets me up every day. Like, just to like, how many more lives can I change? And he just had a little baby back in November, like little baby Kylo. Like now it's all about how much more can I push his daddy and how much bigger of an impact can Chris make, And I mean, I got hell from a couple of people that I hired. I'm like, oh, do you know his past? And I was like, son of a bitch, because I really liked the kid and I just hired him. And I was like, nope. And, he just put his head down and he just works his tail off. And, once again, like, what kind of giving impact, and I'm going to tell you this, like, some people are like, well, I can't find help. What's really cool about us is like, we seem to be attracting frugal people that actually have money saved up. I won't share the amount, but one of my guys told me he had 6 figures saved up. I was like, holy shit, but guess what? Now some of their buddies want to work. And you know what? One of them is getting ready to leave a factory job, a safe, secure job, because he sees the opportunities that his buddies are having. And, you attract that. Like, you're going to attract installers that want to help you, Ty, when you do that veteran house. Same thing, Dylan, when you're doing, whatever it is, like, you're going to attract that. And you're going to have people come back or like that goofy canned food drive. Most of our team went and bought cans. And then we started a little tally in the office and they started one-upping each other. Like one guy would bring 48 cans in, the next guy would bring 52. And like one time somebody walked in with like 8 or 9 cases. They brought like 200 freaking cans just to up everybody, but like how cool was that to rally around? And, that's how you keep team members. And that's how you, that's how you attract like the thoroughbreds. Like we don't want donkeys working for us. We want thoroughbreds.
Hmm. Amen to that. Well, wow. We are at hour and 20 minutes, an hour, 19 minutes and 30 seconds and counting here.
And Dylan made it late, so now it's like an hour and a half.
Oh, yeah. No, but what a great episode. Is there anything that you guys want to leave our audience with before we log off here? Joe, you got some golden eggs that you want to drop?
No, I wanted to ask that same question. In fact, I wanted to twist a little bit. I know in the past we've asked what gets you up in the morning as a ending question. What
Mhm.
gets you up and drives you every single day? Make it quick. Keep it to 30 seconds.
Like I said, man, just the opportunity. I hired an office girl that was working 2 full-time jobs. I could pay her enough that she could go home and raise her kids at night instead of having her mom. Like, it's just the opportunity to provide quality jobs in a small town and actually love your freaking team.
Mhm.
That's awesome. What about you, Dylan?
You know, I could talk for an hour, but I think the biggest thing that gets me up in the morning is knowing that what I'm doing isn't to waste, right? What I'm doing has a purpose. I'm here because I'm supposed to be here. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. We joke all the time that Luke Combs song, if I wasn't doing this, what would I be doing, or whatever the hell it's called? And I would be doing exactly what I'm doing. I tried teaching crap, couldn't do it, man. I do this because God has me exactly where he needs me to be, and I'm here fulfilling my ultimate purpose.
Amen. You got that right. Great episode, fellas. How
I
about
wanna
you,
hear-
Joe?
Oh, I want to hear yours, Tyrus.
Mine?
Too.
I don't have. We don't have. Do we have another hour?
It's at
my
30
my
seconds.
why and my purpose changes every day, or evolves, or gets bigger every day. So I'll be honest with you. First and foremost, I see Jana laying next to me. And my feet hit the floor, and I thank God for allowing me to suck another breath of air that morning. And I know that I've been given multiple chances, not even just a second chance, but multiple chances. And I don't want to take that for granted. And I've decided that he has allowed me to be here, to be one of his soldiers, and to have impact on every single individual that I come across on any day, given day. So that right now for today, that's my purpose.
Love it.
All right, I'll go.
Yeah.
Basically, for me, it's simple. I'll keep it brief. Scout's honor. It's leave it better than you found it. Right. It's in that involves everything: your relationships, the projects you're working on, the products that you're building, the roofs that you're putting on, the people that you interact with, your kids, your family. Leave it better than you found it in every single way.
Amen.
Love it.
Good shit. Well, Vic, do you have an outro you want to play tonight, or anything like that? But man, tonight was such a great episode. I knew it was going to be a great conversation. It was going to be all over the place, but I think those of you that paid attention long enough and have stayed in here, which we've seen to have a lot of retainage, were commenting and following along with our conversation, and actually probably started most of our topics. So thank you guys for tuning in. As always, episode 163. Holy cow. It's been on a long, awesome journey. And like I had mentioned earlier, this all started on trying to promote whatever charitable event at the time that we were doing, to get the word out there, which actually would be almost 3 years ago to date. This weekend is going to be the York Home and Garden Show, and we built gazebos, and we wanted to auction them off to donate the funds to a event called, or a organization called Workforce Now program, which encourages students to get into the trades. And we've also, Howie built us 2 more. We've done it every year since. Howie built us 2 beautiful, an outside bar and a gazebo with a metal roof with tongue and groove, beaded ceiling, decking with the ceiling exposed in on the inside. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So the auction will start Friday. I don't know exactly what it's starting at, but again, we should have been promoting this for a month, but we forget half the shit that we do on a daily basis, because it's become normal for us to give more than what we receive. And whatever happens, we end up receiving more than we're giving, it seems like. Anyhow,
Ty, real quick, will you ship the gazebo if somebody buys it from out of state?
Yeah, we've been taking it to wherever they needed it. I think the outside bar may end up going to Florida with us on Monday.
That's awesome, man.
Hopefully.
I
Why
was just
do you
curious.
want?
I know we have a massive reach with the people we've connected with, and now, with the audience behind the ToolBelt, it's no longer here in your little pocket of the world. So I was just curious for those people that are out there, man, if they wanted to help the cause and they thought those were badass, that, maybe I do want to buy one. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
So I'll
No,
let
they're
you know.
beautiful, and we'll be going live the entire weekend. So people you could be a silent bid or whatever, however you want to do that, but we'll do it online, and then you can come down to the York Home and Garden Show and put a bid in, and it's going towards Workforce Now program, which encourages the students to get into the trade. So, and we're very passionate about that as well.
Love it, brother.
Say that one more time. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So we will be going live. We'll describe exactly what it is. We'll show you what it is. We'll let you know where the bidding has started and hopefully where it ends and everything in between. And if anybody can bid on it, somehow, some way, we'll figure out how to get it to them. Or maybe if they just want to donate money to the Workforce Now program, by all means, it's a nonprofit that just got their whatever it is 501c
501(c).
Yep, there you go. Just received that and are doing great things. So check it out. Go on www.workforcenow.com website, donate whatever you want to do. You don't have to, can if you want. But what a great episode. I can't say enough. So I guess I'm done. Are you done?
I'm good.
Are
Thank
we
you,
done?
brother.
Joe, you good?
Sir.
Thanks, Dylan. Thanks, Bob.
Thanks, Joe.
Bob, you good? Love you, brother.
Love you, dude, man. Good seeing you.
Yep, you too. Love you
Good
too,
stuff,
Bob.
guys.
Love you, Bo.
Behind the Tool Belt is sponsored by Lead Scout. Find out more at leadscoutapp.com.
Behind the tool belt.
Yeah.
Roofers, you want at least 5 solid lead gen tactics building chemistry. Let's say you have door knocking, referral systems, job site branding, and you add in aggressive SEO, paid ads, and boom! Smells like more leads. Hookagency.com.